I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. Kick it! Motherfuckers. Kick it!
I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater.
Motherfuckers.
I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater. I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
I ain't scared of you.
You don't understand. Tired of this shit.
Live from the Kumi studio, where the truth is still true, comes the show that gives you a reason to live. Hello, how are you? This is the show called Crime Report. Nice to meet you. And I realize now that Roger Stone, the free Roger Stone shirt, might not be such a big hit because he's not jailed. I think he's out. So, but, you know, he will need to be freed, pardoned eventually, just as Bernie Carrick was, our former police commissioner here. Very happy to see that happen. And tonight, it's a very special night on Crime Report because we have, the guests don't get any better than what I have sitting right here at the desk with me. The most highly decorated detective in NYPD history is sitting here, Ralph Friedman. Hey, Ralph.
How you doing?
Thanks for being here. He's the author of Street Warrior. This is the book right here, and I don't know if you can even get this on hardcover anymore. I think that this is now a collector's item, right, Ralph?
Well, it's on audio now and paperback.
On Amazon, and as is Street Justice the Bronx. Amazon, get Street Justice the Bronx. Do we have a little graphic there on that? That I forwarded. All right, well, you know that's what we're after. And also sitting here with me, we have to play this video to introduce you, Johnny, because this is what you're very well known for. Let's have a look. Oh, not the Mayor de Blasio video again.
Listen up for a second. First day of camp, but something really important. Okay, we're not women's soccer. We're not the NFL. If there's anybody here that's going to be disrespectful to either the American or the Canadian national anthem, grab your gear and get the fuck out now, because you'll never see the ice in this arena.
Yes.
We don't have that problem in hockey. We're better
More
than
of
that.
this.
But there was no sense in wasting anybody's time if that shit was going to happen. I don't believe it would happen here. We're the most patriotic sport that they have out there. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
That's Fox Patriot Award winner John Krupinski. Hey, John.
Great to be here.
Honored to have you. That's a great speech. That's what everybody in the NFL should have been saying, I think.
You know, I complained that where are your coaches? Where are the coaches? Where are the coaches? And we weren't going to have that problem, that's for sure.
That's right, yeah. And
I meant every word I said.
you would have done that, huh? You have your starter or
Have
whatever?
your gear. I don't care who it was, that you would have seen his baggage going out the front door, and that would have been it.
Even if it was the hockey equivalent of Colin Kaepernick?
My guys actually play.
Well, it sure was heartening to see that, you know. I mean, like, there's never a more patriotic time than we can all as Americans get together and enjoy a sporting event. And, you know, politics being brought into it really is troubling. Now, the 41st Precinct is where you worked, Ralph.
Yes.
And that's Fort Apache. It's in the Bronx. We all know that you were there in the most dangerous time, the darkest days in New York City, the 70s.
Through the 70s and the early 80s.
And I imagine you just cutting through a jungle of criminals with a machete and a badge.
We had our pick.
Yeah. You stayed so busy that you were making arrests off duty as well as on.
Oh, yeah.
And a large number of them, too. How many was it total?
Over 100.
Over 100 off.
105 off-duty arrests.
You think, like most guys, if something comes along, you know, and you happen to be there, you know, and cops are dedicated, they'll do it. But you, it's like you were looking for trouble.
Well, I wasn't looking, but it found me. You know.
Let's look at this unfortunate video footage from the 41st Precinct. This was last month, and I don't know. This must have been crank it up, Chris. Right here in the 41st Precinct. Tell us what we're looking at, Ralph.
Well, this is a new station house. You know, I guess it's been there maybe a decade or two, but this is the 41st precinct in the Bronx on Longwood Avenue.
And there's a gunfight happening, it looks like.
Well, this perpetrator came into the building, into the station house, 12 hours after shooting at two police in a police van on the street. He came into the station house and he shot a lieutenant who's in the white shirt. You saw him for a flash there. And the officers approached him. He threw himself on the floor, and then he threw a gun across the floor. But he could have had another gun. These officers are all approaching him. You know, it's a very dangerous situation.
Sure.
Because he could have had a second gun, and he threw himself behind the desk. You didn't see him, actually. They approaching him, not knowing if he was armed or not. And you know he's the type that would fire on them.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, he's already done it. And
He's already, when he went to court, prior to going to court in the hospital, he told the cops, which was later told to the DA and presented to the judge, he said, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to shoot another officer.
Yeah. Well,
So the job was dangerous when I was on, and it's just as dangerous today. The difference being that we had backing then, and the bosses and City Hall and the politicians wanted arrests and bad guys off the street.
yeah.
But police work is always dangerous. You know, it was then, it is now, and it will be in the future.
Yeah, and it's so appreciated. And this is just another view of this.
See how he was behind the desk?
Yeah.
Those officers all approached that perpetrator, not knowing if they were going to be fired on again.
It was their job to do that and to neutralize this
And
guy.
they did it. They did a great job, but, you know, they really took their lives in their hands at that moment.
Yeah. How would you have handled that? Would you have handled it any different?
Well, I never second guess an
course
officer
not.
that's in a shooting. You know, it happens so fast. 99.9% they're doing the right thing, and they're running towards gunfire when everybody else is. See how they're running towards it.
Yeah.
You know, when the public has to run the other way.
Trying to subdue him there. That's good.
They should have subdued him a little more, I think.
Sure.
You know,
If this guy was permanently subdued, it wouldn't be a problem for a lot of
save
people.
a lot of court costs and make sure no civilians or police are in danger again.
Well, and this guy had already shot another police officer out on the street.
Right, and he shot that guy in the chin and the throat.
Missed his carotid artery by inches.
And this
An inch.
lieutenant, even though he was shot in the arm, it just missed a vital organ there, a vital artery. I mean, where he could have bled out.
Getting shot anywhere is no
Not fun.
no game. Yeah. You've been shot,
I've been shot at. I've never been hit.
That's good.
I used to duck very fast.
but you have been
I
clubbed.
shot a lot of guys.
You've been brained with a crowbar or two, things like
I
that.
had my head fractured 2 times, broke my hand 3 times. I broke over 50 bones during the course of my career, and 23 in the last incident by itself.
My God, this is why you can pull off that Evel Knievel jacket that you wear, leather, red, white, and blue thing. Because
Oh, that was John's.
that's John's.
John's jacket.
Well, Danbury, Connecticut's also
Any
there's crime
police job,
everywhere. Yeah.
Any police work is dangerous. Look at this. These officers were in the station house.
Right. What
They're
could be
still
safer?
under danger.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even on the street alone.
Did that ever happen? Did something like this ever happen during the 70s when you were
Oh yeah.
people walk in firing?
Well, I had an incident when I was a rookie. I was doing station house security, and I hear gunfire in the precinct. I run upstairs. I was the first uniform on the scene, but there was a detective fingerprinting a child molester, and he had his gun on, and the perpetrator pulled out the gun and shot and killed the detective, and they shot him in the squad office. But since then, the rule was passed. This was in like 1971. They passed the rule where you don't have your gun on you when you're processing a prisoner because of an incident like that.
Man, that is a
No,
real
but
shame.
The precinct's been under attack numerous times. Bottles, bricks, firebombs.
Sure.
That's how the name got to Fort Apache. It was they would storm the station house.
I tell you, Pat, I feel sorry for these guys visiting many precincts in the city when I'm working. We're kind of spoiled. We got a $39 million new station, but pretty much everywhere in Connecticut, the stations you go to, when you walk into them doors, you're facing bulletproof glass. We have the luxury of sitting behind it. This is New York City. Maybe it's time to upgrade some of these station houses. That I don't think that should ever happen again, and I think somebody should take some steps to take that opportunity away from these perps so they can't walk in and they're going to be facing bulletproof glass also.
Well, sure. If an immigrant in a bad neighborhood can be behind bulletproof glass to sell sell cool cigarettes and mall liquor, then, why shouldn't the cops have bulletproof glass as well? Banks have bulletproof glass. It's now, tell me about the squad cars now. They have some bulletproof elements on them now, but
they have some bulletproof, I think the doors and the windows on the driver's side and passenger side. But this guy fired into the post of the body of the car. Mm-hmm. The post that goes from the doors to the roof.
Right.
And the bullet penetrated that. And thank God this officer wasn't hit with a direct round, but the bullet ricocheted, but still caught him in the neck and the chin. But it did penetrate the car. The whole car isn't bulletproof like the president's vehicle.
Right.
But the thing is, when you see things like this in the station house, it shows that the cops are in danger all the time.
Yeah. And
the politicians under this administration, they're trying to make the station houses and the police friendlier. So I heard they put some ATMs in there. They have soda machines for the public. People go in and out. Even if you have station house security, they don't want you frisking a person coming in, because people go in to report crime too.
Sure.
But even if a bad guy came in, they would stop him and say, "What's your business?" He could say, "I'm going in to file a complaint. My car was broken into or something."
Yeah.
They're not going to frisk him. I think we need that. And like John said, we need bulletproof glass. They don't protect the police in there like they do guys in bodegas or banks or grocery stores.
Or airplanes.
But the politicians today don't want to protect police.
Got to be kinder and gentler.
Yeah.
That's why I think all the cops are at more risk today.
And do you find that it seems to me that as the police, because of the politicians and various things that have happened, and with videos and rioting and stuff like that from around 2014, 15 on, and maybe even before, it's been developing this way that the kinder they want the cops to be, the more disrespectful a lot of elements in the public get to be.
Of course, with any move that you make with that, just like with the stop, question, and frisk.
Yeah.
They take that away, and what do you got? You got criminals empowered to carry a gun because they're not going to get stopped.
That's right.
So, and they're getting more emboldened with police incidents. As soon as they resist arrest and the cop has to use necessary force, the cop becomes the bully. Mm-hmm. And the bad guy is the victim.
It's absolutely
it's crazy.
It's such a nonsensical narrative. You know what I mean? It requires so much suspension of disbelief.
Speaking of stop and frisk, anybody watch that debacle they called the Democratic debate last night? There was a lot of mentions of that. There was a lot of mention of it with Bloomberg, and everybody's going to be against stop and frisk, and they gave their version that was inaccurate. Stop and frisk doesn't mean we walk down the street and just grab people and throw them against the wall and we search them and frisk them because we have nothing better to do. It doesn't work that way. Stop and frisk, and as Ralph actually articulated even better, it's stop, talk, and frisk. You may stop somebody. To stop somebody, you have to have some articulable suspicion of, hey, the guy's doing or up to something illegal,
sure.
Followed by your discussion of, well, maybe the guy's got a gun. If it's July and he's wearing a coat down to his ankles and he's walking with an arm pressed up against his body, he may very well have a gun under there.
Yeah.
But that is when it's exercised. It's not, hey, you put your hands on the wall, we're just going to search it because we have nothing better to do. That is not what it is, and that's what takes guns off the street.
Exactly. It's Bloomberg really screwed up.
Tools of police work.
Yeah, Bloomberg should have never made his big apology and everything.
Didn't apologize at all
Because he saved lives. Stop and frisk saved so many lives, and it
100%.
saved the very lives that he's being accused of harassing. Now he didn't always speak the most politically minded about it, but that's fine. Be plain spoken because it's just facts anyway. Now Bloomberg, I don't know if we have Here's a little campaign thing from him, I guess you might call it. He's potentially our Democratic candidate here.
Which one's Bloomberg?
It's a short one.
Yeah. Mini Mike.
Yeah, Mini Mike.
there we got big fat butts.
This is worse than last night's performance.
Yeah.
What in the butt guy?
He governs exactly as well as he sings and dances in some respects. But okay, that's all I can take. That is. It's all I can take. That is all. That's almost too much. Stop, question, and frisk was a big part of cleaning up New York City. And you know something? Those guns are out there on the street. We had a bodega robbery down the Lower East Side. You're gonna go like, where was this? Where did this happen? Oh my God! It happened right here in Manhattan. Yeah.
New York City police worked so hard on cleaning up this city,
Yeah.
which helped the politicians because they were doing real estate. And, that's where the money was moving in. But it was the NYPD that worked for 2 decades or more to clean up this city. And now, under this administration, it's going to hell in like 1 year.
Yeah.
More decline after all that work they did.
It got
That
worse.
was after my time.
After the second election, I think it started really taking a dip. Now the bail reform laws are not helping.
Bail reform is...
But they've done it in piecemeal. They've said, look, we're going to decriminalize urinating on the street. And they made all these quality of life crimes completely fine. And they've encouraged it, really.
Throughout
That's where it
window
starts.
theories.
Yeah.
It starts with quality of life.
Yeah.
If you're going to clean up your city, obviously we don't like homicides, but it's kind of hard to go out and start there. Generally, anytime you go into a neighborhood or a city and clean it up, you start with quality of life. Mm-hmm. It's basically the broken window theory.
Yes.
And right now, all the windows in this city are broken.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, it's coming to a point where people, are going to have more difficulty taking pride in their neighborhoods. Let's have a look at this Lower East Side robbery. Now, you go like, oh, here's the gun right here. This is 2 guys robbing the store, working together. You see red hoodie there, and if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, black hoodie now, there he is with the gun. He says, I'm going to kill you, basically. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to kill you right now if you don't give me everything. Made off with like $3,500 and 30 packs of cigarettes. Holy cow, those cigarettes are expensive, too, I hope they were...
brought it to grand larceny.
Yeah.
You realize if he was shot by the police, he was just turning his life around that day.
Oh yeah, he was an aspiring architect with a beautiful
There was
baby.
high school picture up there, and
Yeah, I know that's a daily news trick. They do that all the time. They always
All the time.
They love to eulogize the criminal. Speaking of
Police officer becomes the bully. The criminal is the victim.
yeah, and that
It's
is
a topsy-turvy. It's a bizarro world.
it's Orwellian. And every time I find somebody who isn't crazy, I cling to that person like a life raft. Can we look at can we go to our '80s correspondent, Carmine on the construction site? I feel like he might be able to contribute to the discussion to some degree. They've had some crime problems there on the side. Hey,
How you doing, Pat?
how you doing, Carmen?
What's going on? I heard you got some cops in the studio.
Yeah, we do. Certainly do. 2 of the best.
I love the police.
Yeah.
I just saw Lethal Weapon. They shoot a guy with a nail gun right through his friggin' head.
Those movies, when they come, they get more violent, don't they?
Danny Glover, he's crazy, but Mel Gibson, you gotta love him, right? He's gonna be a big star for years.
Everybody loves him,
Of course.
He can do no wrong.
Of course.
Yeah, so how are things on the site there? Looks like you're coming along pretty good.
It's still, look at it. It's the same as it was last time I talked to you. These guys, they don't do nothing. Ronnie! Jesus Christ, move the Riviera away from the concrete mix.
Jeez.
You don't listen.
You always got your hands full there.
I'm
man.
I got to do everything. Valentine's Day, I had to take care of these guys.
Valentine's Day. Why? We can take care of these guys.
I got Amber calling me. I'm like, what do you want? Right?
Yeah?
Why don't you call Rocco? Right? She calls me. I'm like, the Borelli sisters are sitting in my bedroom. And then Amber calls. I tell Rocco, I go, talk to her. Don't you understand that these girls don't want Amber calling me and telling them, that I know a girl from the Crazy Horse?
It's a good problem to have, really.
We have look, we took them out. We took all the girls out. We went to PM's. You ever been there?
Never been to PM's.
Peter Messina's?
I'm not familiar.
We don't go for the food.
What do you go for?
It's a restaurant that has my uncle back in the day, he built it. There's a little secret door to the, we go see the girls on the main stage at the Crazy Horse.
Oh,
Tiffany and Crystal, we told them we stop over there for Valentine's Day.
I see.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? So I don't want to say this in front of Ronnie because the mouth on this guy, he tells Dina, who my grandma says, you know, she's nice, but not so nice in the face. And why don't get mad at me
know the
about
type.
it? My grandma said it, right? What do you can't get pissed off about it, Ronnie, with me.
Nah.
And by the way, they don't know how to meet women, so I got to deal with all these girls. Frankie's got Mrs. Iamarino's daughter. And he's like, oh, she don't have a nice outfit. I go, take her to the mall, Frank. And maybe you want to date somebody that's a little farther away from home. She lives next door.
Yeah. That's no good. You don't need
Well,
next
this
door
is how he
neighborhood.
figures out who he's going to date. It's by proximity.
It's all. You know what? The kids today, right? In 1989.
Well, this is what you do. You go to the car wash, you see some hot chick, then she takes $5, and then, you know, hey, you want to go out? Guess what? Now you're dating the Aquasonic chick.
Yeah, you're gonna get a discount on the car wash and
No, she turns
a
out to
free
be another
turtle wax.
pain in the ass, Pat.
Oh, I see.
And now I got to go to Master Wash in Painesville to get my car done to
now
avoid Aquasonic.
That's just too high. That's too steep of a price to pay just to date
It's all
some-
bullshit. Why do I got to do it? And then Bobby can't find a girl. I mean, he can. Here's his criteria. She doesn't have to be pretty. She doesn't have to have a great body. Where does she work? That's all he wants to know. What can she do for me? Last one was Pizza Hut. Why do you want to eat Pizza Hut if we got Mama Santa's down the hill? Why do you want to eat Pizza Hut? That's my question.
Yeah, especially if you got to have sex with Jabba the Hutt to get it.
Well, that was the chick from Firestone.
My goodness, man. Well, I think I'm starting to understand how come that building's not coming along too quickly.
There's no construction getting done.
No, you got
All they
too
do
much.
is deal with the personalities on the job site.
You got too
Every
many
one of these guys.
love issues. Well, you gonna do? Are you going over to session 73?
In 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to come into the future.
In 2020, maybe.
What is it? Oh, it's 2020
Yeah,
already?
you got to start writing 2020 on your checks.
What the
now.
hell?
I know the time flies when you're in the past.
I still got an 89 Riv.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to move up. We'll come up to New York. We're in Cleveland right now.
All right. Yeah, I know. Think we got some adjusting to do, but we're gonna make it.
You
Thanks
haven't been
for
to
being
Menor
here.
Lumber, have you?
What's that?
Menor Lumber? Out in Painesville?
No.
There's a hot chick there, too, that Bobby was dating.
Works at the lumber
For
store.
free 2x4s.
Jeez.
Right?
Well, you
All right,
know.
like the police. Tell the police hello for me.
We'll do, Carl.
I'm not going to mention that Bobby also met a girl that was dealing a little bit of Cocoa Puff. She was getting half off on 8 balls. It's hard to pass her up, and it's not like we're doing a lot of cocaine, so please ask the police to be a little, just mellow on us.
Don't worry.
Huh?
Man. I don't think that you're the ones that they're looking for the most strenuously.
No,
You know,
we
you
love the
guys-
police. I got my card, I got my badge, I got all that stuff. Actually, my uncle kind of takes care of things.
You're a solid patriot and a great American.
Well,
Carmen.
God bless
It's
you
much
and the
appreciated.
police. Huh?
All right. Have a good one, Carmen. Take care. And say hi to Ronnie for
I
me.
will. Bobby!
Bobby. That guy, I mean, straight out of 1989, and he's right on it, you know? I mean, the way we coordinate that, I will never know. So, do you see a lot of those kind of weapons like the guy had in the bodega? Like, did when you were in the 70s, were those around quite a bit?
What did he have? A Tech 9?
I'm not really sure.
No, in the 70s, we saw
Excuse me.
22s, 32s, 38s, and 45s.
I see.
Mostly 32s, 22s. Because I retired in '84, January of '84, and the weapons improved over the years.
Sure.
And the automatics came out. You know, very rare. We didn't come across too many automatics. It was
Really?
pretty rare.
It was all about the revolver
It was the
still.
revolvers then.
Yeah.
You know, we came across them.
Yeah.
But not like the revolvers.
Revolver never
Glock
jams.
wasn't even a company.
I don't think it was.
No.
No.
I don't think it was.
Now Glock pretty much it's universal in all the police stations, almost right, pretty much.
They use the
They
Sig
got a
Sauers
big,
too, right?
a big chunk of the market. There's
Yeah.
some SIGs out there, some Berettas out there, but Glock really, it's a point and shoot gun and it always goes off. So
What more can you ask for? It doesn't always go off. You know, I had a woman come after me with a Glock, and fortunately, it didn't go off. It was one in the chamber and everything. You know? But every once in a while, you get lucky.
We used to say, the hand, we call them a wheel gun now, the revolvers, and they were always reliable.
Yeah.
We used to say, what good is 15 shots if the first one jams? But the automatics became much better.
Yeah.
But I'm still a wheel gun.
Yeah, I can get. I had a 357 my brother gave me, and that's how I knew for sure where I stood on gun control. I was 25. These robbers are on the loose, by the way. So if you know anything, 1-800-577-TIPS, 1-800-577-TIPS. Have a wonderful night, guys. Man, it was a smoke shop. They held it up at 420. You think they were being cute? Isn't that you would know, that's the universal marijuana time, isn't it?
Yeah, also
Worldwide.
Hitler's birthday. Big fun one there.
Let's look at some of these random crimes here. We have where a brute. I just feel like if they call a guy a brute, it's almost like they're kind of ripping on it a little bit. He cold cocks a guy on the Upper West Side. This guy looks like a random attack. This is a 55-year-old man walking on the Upper West Side. Tosses him to the ground, and I had thought that he was going through his pockets here trying to rob him, but I don't think either he didn't have anything or he was.
What time is this?
Just looking for a cough drop. This was right at 2:45 p.m.
Yeah, see, it looks
Right
bright
there.
out.
Yeah, it's bright out, Upper West Side. Now, when they say Upper West Side, that could be Washington Heights. Let me see. the
Normally,
streets.
Upper West Side is like 60s to the 90s.
Yeah. So it's,
When they say Upper West Side.
yeah,
This is
family
what you got
neighborhood
today. And if
Family
the cops
neighborhood.
came over to him now and go to arrest him and he resisted arrest, he'd be the victim.
Yeah. They.
I don't understand why the politicians are like that, but they don't want police to be proactive.
You know why? It's the only way the Democrats can win, and they have control in all the cities. And the only way they can win is by constantly accusing everyone of racism and vilifying the Republicans and the police. That's all it is. It's a one-party system in so many cities.
Every city they run turns to shit.
Yeah, and it stays that way until Dad comes home or something. Like I don't know what's going to change where we are right now.
It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
Definitely going to get worse.
And this bail reform is not worked out at all. It's a joke. And, you got a guy arrested 140 times and he's still out.
Yeah,
He's bragging about it.
And he's bragging about it. And his
guy right
buddy
here.
de Blasio. I mean,
Serial subway offender. That's Mr. Charles Barry. You might call him Chuck Berry, arrested for the 141st time.
Can you imagine?
He tricked
How could a judge look at his sheet and not put him in jail? You think he's fit to live with society?
Looks like Snoop Dogg, don't
Hey
he?
Chuck, this is your cousin Marvin. You know that new reform you looking for?
And Tom Bosley apparently is his who is it? Lawyer. A wad of cash. He let's see. How much did he get?
He says he
$32 bucks.
This guy says he makes between $200 and $300 a day.
He says bail reform. It's lit.
It's lit.
Well, I mean,
1989.
when people don't fear going to jail, you're borderlining on anarchy.
Yeah.
There's no fear of jail. And that's where we're at right now in New York City.
yeah. And how long did it take to get that way? I mean, no time at all. This started right away. It's like they do keep up on some things.
Yeah.
I spoke to guys on Facebook that know of this guy.
Oh, really?
And he started out as what they call a token sucker.
Okay.
He would suck the tokens out of the. Remember when they had tokens?
God, he must have had quite a lot of lung capacity.
Yeah, he was tokens out of the machines.
You have a sister?
Did he then move on to
Yeah,
prostitution?
she also works at the subway station. This guy, but what he does now, very similar. He just sells expired Metro cards to tourists for
Or
money.
he snatches the money right out of their hands.
Yeah, stuff like that. Grabs a
borders on robbery.
Yeah, that's.
It's a very fine line. If one person said they tried to hold back the money, it would be a robbery.
right.
They keep classifying them as grand larcenies where he's just taking the property. But I still, 140 arrests, it's just so ridiculous to even say that how a judge cannot put him in jail is just beyond sanity.
Well, you want to hear what the explanation is for that.
How do you
What were
think-
they thinking?
What do you think how the cops feel when they keep doing their jobs, putting their body in risk of arresting someone, which you do every time, and they bring them in and they just let the guy go like nothing happened? You do your job. You feel like you're being slapped in the face.
Most people don't. I don't think anybody has a comparable situation at their job that could be that much of an indignity.
Yeah, he's walking out before they do their paperwork.
And it's not just for minor crimes like this. The way that they wrote this law, the kid Khalif Young, he's slashed the throats of two people now, 3 months apart in New York City. The second one was a poor French tourist who's walking down the street with his girlfriend.
And
this guy comes up and slashes her throat because he was already out from cutting somebody inside of a location in a deli prior to that. At what point do you say, hey, we can't have this in a city?
I don't know. But I would think we were already there, but we're not.
We're not with this mayor.
You see all these cases that are coming up. Nobody's like a virgin. They've all got bad records.
Yeah.
They're all walking in and out of the system. And they get to know the system just like an officer knows the system.
Sure.
And they're playing the system now.
It gets to be where...
but they're putting his own constituents, the citizens of New York, and the police at risk at all time.
What? And you have to wonder, like, a guy like that... But the whole idea of the bail reform is supposed to keep innocent people from sitting in jail.
Yes.
But if you've been arrested 140 times...
Yeah,
that's
I
not
don't think
happening
you're
with you.
innocent.
I don't think that's a concern here. Case by case. Well, what were you going to say, Chris?
I just don't see why you guys are really so over-concerned with this. We all have white privilege, so I'm not sure how this could even affect any of us.
Right.
Potentially,
I forgot.
hypothetically.
Yeah, white privilege.
Hypothetical.
Just like that guy up on the Upper West Side had. Loaded with or that French tourist, for that matter, outside the IHOP up in Harlem. Yeah, he had a lot of white privilege. There's video of that on my Instagram if you want to see it. It's also on my website, crimereport.nyc, with my commentary. The guy's bleeding all over the place. It's not pretty.
No.
Not only are they taking the power away from the police and handcuffing and blindfolding them, but they're doing the same to the judges now. The judges can't hold these people.
And a lot of those judges did need the help.
Yeah, some of them didn't need the help, but some
could do the job.
could do the job, and they're definitely hindering
It's
them
all
too.
statutory now. The statute says you got to release them for these certain crimes. They get to walk out the door.
And the judge who tried to defy it, they just
There's
overruled
even
him, and
some
that was the end
criminal
of that.
negligent homicide is on that list, I think, too.
Yeah, well, there's
on there.
It is, right?
There's a drunken driver who killed a guy. I know that.
Yeah.
He's
At
walking
least
out
one.
the door.
Homicides and stuff. It's
Is it true that even if there's what would be considered normally a violent crime, like let's say an aggravated assault, but there's not like medical injury done to the victim, they don't they then let that
well,
person
there's
out
no
classified
injury,
as
there's
that?
no assault.
Yeah, exactly. That's must have been what I had read, but I thought that sounded crazy because if you come at me and you try to beat my ass and you just fail to succeed at it, that shouldn't lessen your charge, right?
Well, there's 3 degrees of assault. There's, first, second, and third. Third being the least. Like if someone punched you in the face and you said you had pain, that's a 3rd degree assault. But if you assault somebody with an instrument, then that instrument becomes a weapon.
We get you guys to like do
More
a
serious
act
injury.
this out as he's describing it, like assaulting.
Either way, you're still going home. Don't worry about it.
We got this. Someone left this here handily for us.
Oh, all
That
the
would make it a felony assault.
yeah, that's with a weapon, right?
Right. Anything you use to cause an injury would be a weapon.
And that makes it the first type assault. Number
Well,
one.
depending, then it goes. It's either second or first.
Oh, second or
Depending
first.
on how bad the injury is.
I see.
If you get say a broken bone as compared to like if you're shot in the chest, a broken bone could be still considered a 2nd degree assault.
Really, a broken
shot.
How about this?
Well, it depends on the incident. Every incident would be judged different,
is
but still be
Harlem,
a felony.
Here we have, this is the incident in that you were referring to, the French tourist who got stabbed by that, a real nasty dude who just paced
He'd
him,
be in jail already because he'd already slashed somebody
Exactly.
else's
Yeah.
throat.
whipped out a box cutter.
Exactly.
I just don't understand. This is the weirdest crime to me. Slashing a stranger, right? It's just
You
like
don't even know, no beef, no nothing.
no,
Well, that should be
misdirected
attempted
violence.
murder. If you slash someone's throat.
Someone
Sure.
tried to say
So
a
that'd be
gang initiation
attempted
should be
murder
hold.
and assault 1.
Yeah, and he was
You
in
can have
critical
an
condition.
attempted murder without an assault. If you fire a gun at somebody and miss, you still
Yeah.
tried to kill him, but the guy ain't injured.
It just
That would
shocks
be-
me that anybody thinks that this is good for New York City. Like, I don't care whether you're a politician, a homeless person, a business owner, who thinks this is good for New York City?
Petty
Except
criminals.
for Bill de Blasio.
Well,
Petty criminals.
Actually, to be
and maybe
fair,
Cuomo.
And the city
Yeah.
council.
it's Mayor de Blasio actually did come out against this initially, and he sort of said he doesn't. But the only reason he did
After
that
he got the votes, you mean?
it's only because Cuomo, it was his idea. And
Right.
de Blasio, this is my city to screw up, not yours. I'll handle that. But it's a statewide thing, and Bill de Blasio today. Well, here's his explanation. He was booed, by the way, yesterday. Did you read about
But
this?
every day.
Every day, no matter where he is.
Well, people are catching on. Bronx cheers rained down on Mayor de Blasio in Queens, a raucous town hall. The mayor was met with boos from residents, mad as hell about homelessness, criminal justice reform, and controversial schools. Chancellor Richard Carranza, a hostile crowd at this place. They started calling him a liar, and they branding his responses bullshit when they didn't agree with him during the 3-hour fracas. Yes, that's what the article looks like in my hand. It's becoming crime city, said a 74-year-old retiree to applause. They're releasing people who are very, very violent, she said. The mayor responded. Now, this is what kills me. The mayor responded, calling the link between rising crime and bail reform right-wing propaganda. Right-wing. Did you see that right-wing propaganda on the sidewalk up there?
Exactly.
And robbing an 11-year-old and killing a 92-year-old in Queens, sexually assaulting her first, strangling her to death.
You would think
Tessa
crime
Majors.
would be a bipartisan thing.
You would think, right?
You
We
think
could
that
agree
everybody
on
should
that.
be against it.
And
Back your police officers.
I thought we had the same goals at least, which would be to have no crime, or how about considerably less crime, fewer criminals, and punishments that fit the crime.
You would think.
You would think, right? But they're not even down for that anymore. It's a whole different deal.
I looked at some of the stats, differences between like Giuliani with heavy enforcement on quality of life compared to de Blasio without any heavy enforcement on it. And it's a 50% increase in crime overall. But the staggering number is with none of this enforcement of these quality of life crimes, it goes up, homicides go up to 70%. I don't know what the reason or how it works out, but them are the numbers.
Because lawlessness pervades.
You just get to
like
the point
karma.
where and you have basically two issues that are marrying each other. The lawlessness and no fear of going to jail. When you put them both out there to say, hey, you can do whatever you want over here because we're getting rid of those laws, and if we do catch you, you're not going to go to jail over here. This is the end results.
Yeah, you'll have your chance to take off. You won't have to spend a whole bunch of time right after you get caught. It seems as if...
No respect for the law or for police officers.
No.
And they're running wild.
I mean, among the vast majority of the people, and you've pointed this out to me, among the vast majority of people, they do appreciate the police and the job they do.
But it's the ones that don't are the loud, vocal ones.
These are the active element, yeah. And there was one guy, they let him out against all recommendations. He clipped this because the judge said, we're holding this guy. He's a drug dealer. He's a menace to society. They insisted he go. They overruled that because he was holding him against the law, right? For a judge to do that, it's a pretty big deal. He clipped off his ankle bracelet, and he's in the wind.
Yeah, that's going to happen every time.
Immediately. So part of this quality of life thing you were talking about, John, the squeegee guys, that was a big thing in the 90s. The squeegee guys in the 80s. Yeah, and apparently it's going to be a big thing now, too. Just when you thought you were washed up. Well, the panhandling window washers became a face of Mayor Rudy Giuliani's quality of life crackdown in the 90s. So what they do is they basically walk up and they start washing your window when you're in your car and you're stopped. And you don't want them to. You don't want them to wash your windshield. And then they demand money. It's just basically a way to shake you down when you're sitting there with nowhere to go.
So, you can't go through the light or there's cars in front of you.
Right.
And they threaten to break your windshield wipers or your mirror.
And
Whereas you drive away,
and they happen to make
the side of the car.
Yeah, and they make the windows dirtier than they want.
Yeah.
It's almost like an intimidation robbery.
Right.
Especially if there's young girls in the car, older women. They're really intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
Or anybody. You don't want them on you. And they keep saying, if they touch the car, that comes under the discount. If they touch you or demand the money or touch the car, that comes under discount. But of course they're touching the car. They're wiping your window.
Yeah.
But they're not enforcing it now.
Well, I mean, there's so many things go unenforced.
The other one that we got to let go now again, and that's, you can't do that.
He could probably, I guess he could technically walk up and urinate on your car and it wouldn't be a problem because that's like, a quality of life issue too that they've let go of. Once anything that involves you having your genitals out of your pants, you should go to jail for that, in my opinion.
By legalizing that or decriminalizing it or letting it go,
right.
You also have a built-in defense for people that expose themselves to children. You go over to a school, and if you pull it out, and then a cop comes by, he says, well, I'm going to take a piss. It's legal.
Yeah, you go to a school.
And it goes, his defense for being a pervert.
Hang on, your ex-wife's building, anything like that. Now, they have a suspect now in this MS-13 murder, apparent MS-13 murder up on Long Island. Police charged him with murder and the bludgeoning death of the man who witnessed MS-13 members assaulting.
That goes under the new laws, too.
It does.
First of all, the DAs have to give to the defense all the information. That means they got to give the complainant's name, address, where they live, and where they work.
Where they are right now.
To the lawyer. And they only got 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
And there's also another law that says that if they're allowed to go back to the scene of the crime to help the lawyer with their defense. So if they do a burglary or a home invasion, they're allowed to come back in your house.
Get ready for your doorbell ring.
Imagine.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's intrusive, obviously, and
they want the cases thrown out, even if you could proceed by making all this information. They got to turn over all the evidence for hearings and stuff within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
the DAs can't even handle it.
They have to let go of some cases. So a lot of things are going to fall through the cracks.
They're dismissing cases because they're going to be thrown out anyway.
But that's what they call reform.
This is not how normal society operates.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
No, well, once they could do the whole sanctuary, sanctimony city thing, and declare, like, we're not going to follow federal law.
That's against the law. And I'm really hoping that Trump steps it up when he gets his next election, when he wins, that he goes after these mayors and governors that are protecting criminals.
Yes. And
they order these police departments, not only the NYPD, but not to cooperate with ICE. They don't want to turn over the detainers and notify them.
Yeah.
When these guys are getting out of court or being held. You're not allowed to call ICE.
No. In fact, you're forbidden.
Right,
yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
Law enforcement are supposed to work together. That helps everybody.
Yeah.
And how do we not work with federal laws and federal officers?
And it results in all kinds of terrible crime. Like, for instance, like the guy
breaking the law by harboring fugitives and stuff.
It doesn't even matter if it does go anywhere. But like the guy who killed the 92-year-old woman in Queens on the street and sexually assaulted her, he had a detainer out for him that they ignored. And a few months later, there he is killing a woman. Now, Chris, you have a little segment here concerning De Blasio.
Yeah, a little bit about some of that right there.
Yeah, because it's sort of like along the lines of what we're talking about.
Yeah, it just kind of shows a little bit of the incremental, progress that Warren Wilhelm II has made on behalf of our
Warren
city.
Wilhelm, yes.
Because I've always liked the people to know.
Yeah.
Politicians are supposed to be trustable, but this is a guy that can't even operate under his real name. Because he knows people that are poor aren't voting for Warren Wilhelm Jr. or something,
Yeah, De Blasio makes him sound like Italian or something.
Yeah, I think it's his mother's maiden name. But in any case, here, let's see what the first one has here. So the temperature's heating up a little bit. Now, first of all, de Blasio demands the L.A. Angels refund cost of tickets for his security detail. Now, this happened back during his presidential run, so it's a little older, but the news just came out from a FOIA request. You can see here that he says the Angels didn't comp the 7 police officers who were with him, and he opined, who on earth charges the police? I don't know what the hell the Angels were thinking. De Blasio railed at an unrelated press conference in Brooklyn on Thursday. So, Drew, if you go to the next one, we'll find out that he, of course, then took his credit card out and laid it out for those 7 policemen. No, I'm sorry, wait. I was misinformed. We paid for it. You and I paid for it with the taxpayer money. Amongst the $300,000 of other taxpayer money he used to finance his presidential campaign.
May I stick my head in here for just 1 second? Because it's so fun. It's really ironic that he would say, who charges police officers, when he instructed the cops to go around and ticket placard holders all over the city. They didn't do it.
And he'll be the first to have a cop arrested for getting a bottle of water on a 95-degree
Where did he
day.
find 7 cops to protect him? That's what I want to know. Who wants to sign up for that deal? Hey, I'm busy that day.
Must have been in L.A. No one.
He took NYPD detectives with him.
Oh, did he really? Well,
that's a free trip now. That's a different story here.
I feel like nobody hates cops more than Bill de Blasio. Please go ahead, Chris.
So it's bad enough, he didn't pay for them. Now we're paying for them, and he's complaining that the baseball teams aren't paying for them. So then we come back here a little more recently. Something came out this last week with his wife. Now, you guys all probably know about her Thrive NYC campaign that has a about $1 billion unaccounted for. Not a million, with a B.
Yeah.
150
So as
million.
part of that initiative moving forward, more progress.
It's mostly
she
for
is-
depressed housewives. Yeah.
Exactly. Now she is, as we can see here, Charlene McRae. She has launched a mental health and wellness podcast in partnership with a Brooklyn-based arts nonprofit that already received $1.2 million in city funds last year. Yada yada yada. The monthly podcast is a companion piece to McRae's embattled $1 billion mental health plan, Thrive NYC. Okay, so it has advertisements for Thrive NYC. All of it's paid for by us. So the whole bubble is paid for by
So wait, the
taxpayer dollars.
podcast is paid for by us, and then she gets money. Like Thrive has to pay to be on her show, which she's already getting paid to do out of the same till. Is that what
Or
you're
if
telling
they
me?
don't have to pay, it's like cross promoting all within the same
It's like
platform.
quadruple dipping.
Which would be fine if she paid for it herself. But since we're paying for it, it's a bit of a problem. And then the former mayoral candidate Sal Albanese had said this is an obscene use of taxpayer money for blatant political purposes. I'm not sure why they put a dollar sign in there instead of the word money, but editors for the win. But you know, for request for
must have been a
comment, they
tweet.
did not reply from City Hall.
Oh.
But she said it's meant to help people with mental health issues. So this might
Yeah.
not be as egregious as some of the things we've seen from Bill, but now that she's getting involved, it's really getting hot up here.
What a progressive mayor, married a black lesbian woman. I mean, that's incredible. That's absolutely as progressive as it gets.
I think there's some people that even call into question whether that's a factual, whether she's sincere about that. But
well, God knows that when you're mentally ill, you're struggling with day-to-day life, the first thing you're going to do is reach out for Charlene McRae's fucking podcast.
yeah, now as we can see with the last bit here, we have finally achieved absolute degeneracy when it comes to the policy you guys just mentioned. The fact that he has ordered, here you can see, the NYPD was forced to ignore every single one of the 2,900 detainer requests from ICE in the 12 months ending this summer, including the one you guys just mentioned for Rayaz Khan, who, for those of you who don't know, sexually assaulted and left for dead a 92-year-old woman who did not make it, unfortunately.
The
And as you
blood,
can-
her blood is all over the hands of Bill de Blasio and
I know
Mr.
people will
Cuomo.
spin things like that, but this is directly the case. And
It is.
look at these stats at the bottom. The people released so that they didn't have to go into ICE detainer request account for 17,000 criminal convictions and 6,500 criminal charges.
Wait,
200
just-
homicides.
Let's reread that one more time.
Sorry about that.
Please read that once again, so we really fully hear that.
So they've released a list of migrants who were subjects of New York detainer requests, which of course were unfulfilled.
Right.
They accounted for nearly 18,000 criminal convictions off the back of that, including 200 homicides, 500 robberies, and 1,000 sexual offenses. It's like, and 3,500 assaults. So we're not talking weed, shoplifting, gram of coke. They're robbing, beating, killing people, raping people.
But I don't understand how immigrants keep us safe.
Someone didn't
Because
tell.
if we
Someone
criminalize
didn't tell
them being
Warren.
immigrants, they won't be reporting crimes. I've never understood that argument.
Then we'll go full
is that
Germany. You
what's
can't tell
going
the
on?
truth.
Have you heard that argument before, Ralph? They say like, if you punish illegal immigrants, if they're afraid they're going to be deported, they won't come and report crimes.
Right, I heard.
But that's not true, because if they're coming in to report a crime, we don't ask them their status.
Right.
You know,
they're afraid.
You come in as a victim.
The police will help you.
We're there to help. We're there to help everybody that's in our city.
Yeah.
If you come in as a criminal, all criminals are treated the same.
Yeah, and if they're not a victim of a crime, they're not going to come in and like rat on anybody. Most likely, just out of nowhere. And nobody does that hardly. I mean, I'm sure they do. I just don't think that's exactly what we're talking about here. And
That's how they portray things.
This is your book, Ralph, Street Warrior, and this details your time at the 41st Precinct when you were cleaning up the city and giving us the city that we had kind of when I got here in 2006. It was not quite like it is now. I mean, Bloomberg was running things, but you know what? He let Ray Kelly do his job as police commissioner. You can get this on Amazon. And do we have the Street Justice thing, the graphic? Yeah, let's have a look at that real quick, because your show on Amazon, I mean,
Unlike any place on earth. In the 70s, this was a very untamed area. I was a police officer. I had one job: stop these bad guys roaming the streets. If you turn your back to the wrong person, you're dead. I can still see every arrest. My name is Ralph Friedman, and these are my stories.
Street Justice The Bronx, series premiere tonight at 9 on Discovery.
Awesome. That show should be going on forever and ever.
Well, it started playing in 8 other countries that I know of, but didn't renew yet. I'm not canceled, but I'm not renewed.
Yeah. Mexico, playing down there.
I didn't deal with illegal immigrants when I was on the job, though. We didn't have that then.
It wasn't a thing.
No, it wasn't a thing at all. We had our own homegrown criminals.
Wow. Immigration wasn't a big issue.
No, it wasn't an issue at all.
Wow. How about that?
This is a new phenomenon.
That is something else. Well, we don't...
The police will always be handling new types of crime, new types of stuff. We had our own criminals,
Yeah.
We didn't have to import them. We had enough of our own.
We certainly have plenty here. We don't need to. We don't need to import.
We don't need other ones. But
I'd like to outsource some of this stuff. In fact,
right, we should be exporting.
Thousands of Manhattan moms now have formed this anti-crime group, and I'm not exactly sure what to think about this. They make it look like there's some kind of vigilante thing with the cape and all that, but
this is all
It's
all
essentially
bullshit.
a Facebook group.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
police have the technology today. They have the proper training. They have everything they need, better weaponry. Everything is good. They just got to be allowed to use it. Police have to be allowed to police.
Yes.
You have to let them do their job.
It's as simple as
The police
that.
department can't be ruled by politicians.
No.
Got to be ruled by police supervisors.
The ironic
Police
thing
bosses.
is that these moms that are forming this little group here are the very ones that would be like, no, bail reform. We have to.
Exactly.
Oh,
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
If they're assaulting police, what are they going to do to some woman? Come on.
Then this makes them feel better.
This is all bullshit.
Well, he says, armed with branded literature, a professionally produced website, and personal stories of coming face to face with unruly youth and mentally disturbed New Yorkers, the mom secured some meetings.
Control for a sponsorship.
She was terrified when she saw a guy loading things into a bag and stealing them in like a Dwayne Reed or something. It's like that's all that happens at Dwayne Reed now. How do they make stealing?
In California,
Yeah.
they're starting to not legalize but decriminalize larcenies from businesses.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
I've read similar things. Well, they won't mess with anybody under $1,000 is what my
You
understanding.
can walk in the store and they give you say I don't have money. You just take the sodas, take whatever you want.
Whole crowds of kids sometimes. They just
They do those. What do they call them? Like pop up.
like a flash mob or something.
Flash mob thing. They pop up and they run through the store, grab everything they can, and run out.
Laughing.
20 of them.
Celebrating.
They might
having a
grab
good
one
time.
guy, maybe, and they still don't prosecute.
And if you look now, we could go back to this summer where cops were getting buckets of water thrown on them. And listen, those are good guys. They didn't respond because they were afraid of the politicians. That was right after Danny Pantaleo was terminated.
Right. Yeah.
So these guys were hands are tied. They weren't afraid to do what they had to do physically or to do their job. They did what they did because they knew they were going to get zero backing from one PP or the politicians. But when it got to a point where all of a sudden the powers to be said, wow, we can't really allow this to go on, and they took the handcuffs off the guys, came out with a law and said, look, go enforce it. Anybody throws water on you, lock them up. Did you see how quick that stopped?
Well, what actually happened was
2 weeks.
Yeah.
They had the detectives follow it up with video footage, and the detectives obviously did a great job and caught them all. But those guys all still got out. What are they? If they're not prosecuting for robberies, grand larcenies, stabbings, cuttings, shootings, what are they going to do? Oh, you threw a bottle of water?
Well,
The detectives got them. The DAs don't prosecute.
No, the DAs are
They
whole.
threw every case out. It was all bullshit again.
The DAs are. That's a whole different. I don't understand what's going
And
on.
you know how many man hours go into searching those videos?
Many.
The detectives finding the videos, following up on it, identifying them, going out and catching them, and arresting them. And then the DA lets them go.
What is the point?
But it showed it could be done. We got the technology. We got guys that are willing to work. Everything's there. They don't. So even when they did get to do their job, the DA throws it out anyway. They're not going to prosecute that.
No.
You got no injury. You got really nothing taken except their dignity.
Well, you know what though? When you're soaked down with water, you're not prepared to I would say it could hurt an officer's preparedness. It could interfere
Well, it
with him
does.
doing his work.
Radios screwed up.
Radios
they
could
can't
get
fall
screwed.
in.
There's
But they didn't
equipment.
charge him with all that kind of stuff.
But they could.
They could, but they didn't prosecute these
I
guys.
think under Giuliani, we
I
would
think
have
they
seen
all
some
got what's called
prosecutions.
ACDs, adjourned contemplating dismissals. Means if you don't get in trouble for 6 months, it disappears like it never happened.
Why don't they say if you don't get in trouble for 10 years?
How about putting people
Then
in
I'd be in
jail that
jail.
actually commit a crime?
That would be good too.
Novel idea, you know.
They want to tear down the jails. They want to rip down Rikers Island.
Which they
And then
basically
put the
emptied it.
prisons in the boroughs and devalue people's homes and ruin neighborhoods. When you got a perfect island, if you want to make the prisons better, I say, close down a section of it, redo it, modernize it, and then move them on. But you got them on a contained island.
Yeah.
Now you want to put them next to homes in each borough and ruin the values of the neighborhoods?
Because it's so inconvenient for people to
I'll tell
go
you
in and
why
out
they
of the
want
jails.
to do it. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
They say they're going to make it into a park or something. They're going to put up high rises there.
All right.
Where the condos and co-ops will be selling for $30 million or more, and they got 360 views of the water.
Yeah.
That's a real estate deal going under the table.
Yeah. The development there will
See
be
it
nuts.
coming down the line.
Yep. And
It's all.
I think they're trying to get rid of anybody normal from the city too. I mean, like I was talking to my
You'll have
friend Thomas
the
Palladino
more the
about
cities
this.
go downhill, you have the ultra rich and the ultra poor,
Yeah, the ultra rich and the ultra poor.
and they're separated, and
Each doing their fair share.
The middle working class people get demolished.
Yeah.
and they move out.
Yeah.
They move out. They run out. They
Go
got no
to the
choice.
burbs or wherever? I mean, like
Out of state.
Out of state, Florida, maybe.
I just read that New York and New Jersey are the two states that have the most people leaving.
Yeah, and there's good reason for it.
Absolutely good reason.
Come on now. I mean, it's the city, the state. We got to get rid of these people that are running it and doing such a terrible job, and nobody seems to be fully grasping that. Who are we going to vote for?
Even when I grew up my whole life in the Bronx, right?
Yes.
And I just moved out like 5-6 years ago. And I used to work very close to the precincts. I used to live close to the precincts that I worked in.
Yeah.
And cops were always traveling 40, 45, 50 minutes. And I used to say, man, these guys are crazy. But I finally learned at this age now, I learned all those cops were pretty smart.
Yeah.
They did it for their families, and they did the right thing, and they were smart. All my life, I thought they were crazy driving like almost an hour.
What's with the
They were
commute?
smart.
I
Yeah,
just want
right?
to point out, Ralph moved to my city where he knew he'd be safe.
That's right, I did.
Well,
I always thought it was crazy. Those guys were really on the money, and they did what was right for their families. And I don't blame them one bit for doing that traveling.
heck no. Do you remember the
They were doing that back in the early 70s.
bike path terrorist? Accused bike path terrorist Seyfulo Saipov. He's locked up as he awaits trial. He threatened to decapitate a federal corrections officer for waking him up. You don't talk to a federal correction officer that way. What do you think? It's your wife? Threatened to cut her head off. Okay, so the ISIS follower, blah, blah, blah. So hopefully he'll go away for a while. And this guy here, we wanted to discuss his name, Shanduke McFadder, an embattled anti-violence advocate.
There's a con guy.
He's accused of threatening a neighbor with a Bloods gang attack, and he was paid a whopping $282,990 salary by the city. What?
Making more than the mayor. And the mayor asked him to cut his salary. This guy, and he threatened his neighbor to bring the Bloods there. But what his job is to just, the made
Not
up
do
job.
crime.
It's just,
So we're doing that. He's an advocate. His nonprofit, Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. Boy, that sounds made up. He has
that's
a
some title, right?
$2.3 million deal for a wide array of services in 2020 to reduce violence behind bars and on the streets. This is the guy they put in charge of getting violence down on the street, Shanduke McFaddy.
He threatened to kill his neighbor and bring the Bloods against him. He says, if the Bloods don't kill you, I'm bringing them over to kill you. If they don't kill you, I will.
Well, that's why he gets the big bucks, right, from the city? $283,000 a year. And you're right, the mayor, $258,000 a year.
He made more than the mayor.
Yeah.
The mayor just asked him to cut his salary.
Well,
So he doesn't make his
on
money.
the books anyway, right?
Well, now he can move, and he has reduced crime in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Think about that. It might be working here. It's only costing us $300,000 to make it work.
They move to the next neighborhood.
Yeah.
John Kuprinsky, the Fox Patriot Award winner. Thanks for being here, John.
It's my pleasure.
Much appreciated, man. Make more videos of you talking some real talk to your players. That'd be enjoyable. Ralph, I can't thank you enough for
Always a pleasure being here, Pat.
showing up, man. And of course, the book Street Warrior. Pick it up on Amazon. Watch Street Justice, the Bronx. It's a fight. Wait. Oh, that's it. How did you do that? Drew, thank you very much. Job well done. Street Warrior, pick it up. Peter, to the fact checker Chris, have a good night. And hey, thanks, Anthony, for letting us do the show. Stick it in your tickle.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. Kick it! Motherfuckers.
I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater.
Motherfuckers.
I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater. I want to welcome you all to the Apollo Theater.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. You don't